ask if it's okay. One of the things.
It wasn't advertised.
No, because
All I have,
I was shut down.
energy saver right here.
Well, I don't know. I don't either get the approval of the that are here.
The older I get, I'm starting.
Yes,
Should we ask for a vote?
I would.
Good evening, folks. How are you? My apologies, we're starting a couple minutes late. So as we get ready to call the public meeting to order, due to an issue with the shopping guide, this meeting wasn't advertised thoroughly. So we are going to ask everyone in attendance if you would vote to go ahead if you would like the meeting to take place. So can I have a show of hands if you would like to see this meeting continue?
You should wait.
Well, I don't know, can I have a comment here?
You can have a comment.
I was told about this meeting today,
Okay.
and I understand it was also on the website. But I don't know, when I was on the planning board, we had to have 2 notices before you set another public hearing. And I will tell you that people held us to that. And I'm not gonna vote for or against. But you can see that there aren't very many people here. I've already made comments about how some of our special town meetings and public hearings get stacked votes. And I'm not happy about that either. So communication between the general public and the town is very important.
Agreed.
And I know we have a lot of apathy in this town. I'm not happy about that either, but I had to deal with it for years. And so I guess that's my comment.
Okay. So again, can I get a show of hands? Just to refer to your comment before we go forward, the meeting was posted on the website and it was posted in the lobby, which I think satisfies the requirements of 2 locations. However, we do try to advertise in the shopping guide. And I just was notified a moment ago that that didn't take place. So,
That isn't correct. If you post it outside, it's not in a publication.
okay.
It's in a publication.
So-
So even to vote for this is against the bylaws.
So it was advertised on,
Nothing like opening a can of worms when I walk through the door. JP, go ahead. What Desiree looks at.
12/4. It was in the 12/4 shopping guide, because originally this meeting was December 11th.
Sure.
And then due to cancellations and rescheduling.
That satisfies the requirement.
That would be my opinion, because it was posted in advance of the original meeting.
Okay, thank you. I didn't do anything.
So going back, so it was posted in the Shoppers Guide December 4th in ahead of the December 11th meeting, which was originally when this meeting was supposed to be scheduled. The December 11th meeting was canceled due to weather conditions. And then the December 18th meeting was canceled due to a resignation and sickness.
Correct.
The Shoppers Guide has been closed for the past week, so there was no way to post this in the Shoppers Guide last week, and if it was in today's, that would have been 7 days ahead.
Okay.
Span of time between those notifications and now though is significant.
I bet you every person here is gonna vote for it.
Well, there's no vote by the public.
Yeah, but to go on with the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Why would you say that?
Because of it they do. But you wanna vote to go on? No. Yeah, either.
You know, just a point of information. How different is what you're doing today than when we had the hearing with the big turnout
In terms of,
what you're trying to?
so the larger turnout was an approval of an ordinance, not an approval of, so if we hold the meeting,
These items were part of
The bigger turnout would require a public vote. And this meeting does open up public comment, but the vote is not public. It's a vote by the board. And if we don't have the meeting today, we're going to have this exact same meeting in 2 weeks. And I'm not saying that to sway you either way. I'm just trying to extend you the courtesy when I was notified that it wasn't in the shopping guide, because I did not know that till I sat down as you all saw me run through the door. And my apologies to the town of Effingham for my 155-mile-an-hour drive up 153. So,
But the problem is, why go through all this effort if somebody's going to say this is null and void because we didn't
correct.
go through a public
We
statement?
don't want to keep you here all night, so we have to do this again in 2 weeks for you all to come back for the same exact thing.
And
So if you
and
would,
if one person says,
Jen?
brings that up, then
yep.
I do wonder how many more people will show up, because I think a lot of people use the shopping guide. and
I agree.
don't have access
Yeah.
to either the website.
Unfortunately, living in New England is not fun in the winter and vacations and everything else. That's why I was late. I was trying to deal with an issue due to people not being open for the last 2 weeks.
and this is a small town and we're subject to the shopping guide.
So again, I'm extending this as a vote before the board makes the decision of whether or not we're going to extend this meeting out 2 weeks. We don't want to delay any of you any further, whether you're here pro or con the applications in front of us. We are still one town and we're all neighbors and we need to be courtesy of each other, and that's what I'm trying to extend. JP?
So MMA has no specific guidance that we as a town have to publish anything in the shopping guide specifically.
Correct.
Specifically, it does not have to be published in the shopping guide. It just has to be published, okay? And it has been published since the last meeting occurred here in the planning board. The applications, or the public hearing has been delayed twice. Again, once due to weather and once due to sickness. Again, it has been published in the shopping guide, which is our publication here, and it has been pushed through the town website. It has been posted on Facebook. You guys all have known about it. There's been a site walk, and there has been a public hearing on the ordinance as a whole. Now, the difference between the public hearing, to answer your question earlier, of what that was and this is that was an ordinance.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and these are specific applications to change use of buildings. And so the input of the public of
It begins, right?
of opinion needs to be directly related to the building specifically in question.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And the board can take that into consideration when making their decision, but they don't have to. They really don't.
But they need to.
Well, they
The general public.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm talking.
No, that's fine. You go on.
Well, thank you for your permission, but the board doesn't have to. They can take it into consideration. You know, that's their prerogative. That's the opportunity for a public hearing to be able to voice your concerns. Now, if you are here to share your opinion, to do that, then I say we do that. You know, like if you're concerned about somebody not being able to voice their opinion, there has been a month and a half where somebody could have written into the board an email, mailed in anything, had they not been able to attend any of these meetings that were canceled, or called or come to this meeting had they been following it. I don't see the need to delay two applicants another couple of weeks for what? These are businesses we're talking about. We're not talking about something that's just benign. You know, businesses cost money. They really do. I own a business. I understand that every day that you're waiting on approval from somebody else to operate your business, it costs money. And the town of Parsonsfield has delayed these guys Trevor specifically, over 2 years, getting this done. You know, and to wait another week, I think it's ridiculous. That's my 2 cents.
Desiree, sorry,
So
1
the
second.
second piece to everything is you guys approve both applications as complete at the November 20th meeting, which means,
We're passing 30 days.
well, so 30 days for the public hearing, and then within 60 days, you need to make a decision or extend with the blessing of the applicants. Your 60 days is just after next week's meeting.
Right.
So without this public hearing, you know, you guys can't really make a decision next week, which interferes with the 60-day rule.
Thank you. Ma'am, you had a comment?
Oh, well, no, listening to that was interesting and informative.
Okay.
But I was just saying that honestly, from my opinion, and I'm a member of the public, and I've made a point to become more informed, and I have directed questions and received answers that helped inform me. But on the other hand, I see really what's a week delay for the public that might want to come in, and it covers, and you're covered. You as representatives of the town have said, no, we did that. So as representatives of the public, I mean, that's just my opinion.
I think she makes a good point. That is to say, there's always going to be suspicion by people who are unsatisfied with the results. And so, right, I've sort of changed my mind on this. I think you ought to guys try to keep it as clean and to the book as you can.
The book is a little bit up for interpretation. That's why I'm
So
extending that.
where are we at on the 30-day thing? Because it's supposed to be within.
She's looking at it right now.
To me, it is very important. That has been delayed for 2 months. And also, if you say, people say they very interested, think it's very important, they will look at this online post because you guys did post the website, Parsonsfield. That's how I found out, because first I did not know where to look. And I even came to the meeting when it was canceled during the raining day, not a storm. So because it's important to me, I look every single day. So the people obviously didn't show up today because some people, I know they're gonna supposed to show up, but I haven't seen them. So if they believe it's important, they will look at our website, the town of Parsonsfield. That's the first thing you look, and they will be here. Obviously, it's not important to do it. That's why they're not here. So to me, this meeting should go on because it was canceled during raining days, and it was canceled for sicknesses. So you put us business on hold. So because people put application, we put on there, we can't take it another tenants. We can't submit another application because there's one application ahead. Like JP just said, it costs us. And just because somebody say that's what believe they penny, because they are not put in our shoe, they don't know how much it costs. Like, again, people not showing today, that means that's not important to them. So the opinion is not important, my opinion. They don't want to show up.
Well, on the other hand, well, people need to be informed fully. on
It was
this.
informed, the website, that's how I found out. I don't live in this town, we own the property. Like I say, I had to see this on the website, we had to see that because we're in the winter. And then things start to change, get weather, get sickness, can people resign? And if it's important, and they will look, and they will check the other people. I even had to texting people. So if that's important.
There's a lot
If
of,
they're not here, it is not important to them, period.
no, that's not so. There's a lot of people, a lot of neighbors that are very concerned that weren't able to make it.
This has been
Didn't know
published
it
for 2-3 months.
Let me speak. And so it would give those who would like to attend more notice to attend, to put forward their thoughts on this whole thing. Their neighbors, there's people that live in that community, right close, the closest ones, that can't come. And so JP goes on about, well, there was a sidewalk. Well, yeah, we all showed up at that sidewalk, but the applicant or his agent didn't show up. They weren't there. Where were you?
They did a show.
The owner of the building was there.
That doesn't matter.
It was timing cross.
Okay, let's not start, hey, let's reel it in. Let's reel it in, guys.
It's unprofessional.
It's already in a contentious matter. Again, we're all neighbors. We all live in the same town. I'm trying to get this meeting to go forward or not go forward in the most peaceful manner. I wasn't looking to start a badminton back and forth.
That's another technicality. The MMA, you listed the MMA as their requirements. The problem with that is that the date change was not made public. In other words, if there was a cancellation and if there was a public notice of the date change, then you guys would have been covered. But because there was no way to determine when the next meeting was going to be, there is that technicality.
Desiree, when we canceled the last meeting, did we say it was postponed till the,
No, we
Normal.
just canceled it because it was, it was,
I do believe that the law, the bylaws specify that if we can call a special meeting, if we'd like. All right, so I'm going to go forward again. I'm going to kind of shut down comments, but I would just generally like to see a show of hands like I asked before. So all in favor of continuing, could you please stick your hand up? Okay. And what's that?
Do that again.
Okay, and I'm going to follow up with this statement now, just to remember that nothing is going to generally change the facts that are before us. We have the applications, as it was stated, we have done the site walks. We do have a number of matters of correspondence, which does indicate people were aware that this meeting was taking place. And I hesitate to postpone because businesses do suffer when there are delays. And unfortunately, out of our control were a couple delays already. Desiree, in your opinion, have we satisfied our legal requirements?
in my opinion, yes, because it's been posted on the website and it's been posted in the town office.
Which is the two spots, we were required to put it in two places, correct?
I'm pretty sure it's actually the only one. I can't confirm that because I haven't looked at the manual in a little while. But yes, it's been posted on the website for at least a week, so that's the 7-day requirement.
Roger, what do you think?
They just stuck us with a catch-22.
We don't know, in 2 weeks, it could be a big snowstorm,
Right.
could be, other things, and
We've been very patient for this.
get taken back again, yeah.
Kind of agree with both sides, actually. That's so, it's catch-22.
I understand the business perspective, I understand the public's perspective. Jim, your opinion is?
Well, my opinion is, I kind of agree with what you had said. If people were really interested, they would know. This was posted before and they would have followed it, and then they would have kept checking, so they would be here. I think we have some people here who did just that, so my only worry is I don't want anybody to
Try to avoid our meeting?
try to avoid the meeting or make it complicated. I want to avoid that. I just want to do this once.
Yeah.
I do want to say, they do have a mulligan, if they do want to come up and
Yes.
raise some issues. There is another part of the application process that both of these guys do have to go through, past you guys.
Yeah, we're not the final say.
Once they get planning board approval, there is going to be another public hearing that the select board has to hold. Right?
Yes.
Do you want me to read the MMA notice of meetings?
Please.
All right, this is the MMA Planning Board Manual Notice of Meetings. The Freedom of Access Act itself does not require that a meeting agenda be posted and does not specify the form or amount of the notice which must be used to publicize the meeting. The law does not require notice of non-emergency meetings to be given in a manner reasonably calculated to inform the public far enough in advance of the meeting to allow the public to make plans to attend. In some communities, this may mean newspaper notice of some sort, and in others, posting notice around town may be enough. Giving notice of regular meetings and special meetings about a week before the meeting is advisable. If the meeting is an emergency meeting, the Freedom of Access Act requires the board to notify a media representative using the same or faster means as are used to notify board members, rather than giving notice to the public as described above. If no media representative attends, that doesn't make the meeting illegal. Be sure to document how, when, and who from the media was notified. If the meeting in question is a regular board meeting and notice of the board's regular meeting schedule was given in the annual town report, such notice might be enough for the purposes of the Freedom of Access Act in some towns. However, it probably would be safer to post a notice of regular meetings in a readily accessible public place, such as the town office public bulletin board, or the post office or local store, and leave it up indefinitely. Local ordinance or charter provisions may impose more specific and more stringent notice requirements.
Okay, thank you.
So we're covered legally.
Yeah.
So we're going to move forward.
Okay.
So I'm going to open this public hearing officially at 6:23. And a little reminder, because I understand these topics are contentious and you all have your opinions. We are going to respect each other. If you start battling back and forth, I'm just going to ask you to step outside. And if you're not a Parsonsfield resident, then we will discuss among the board if we're going to move forward with comment from you. And please be civil. So item A is a site plan review for Christopher Godomsky, map U04, lot 005, 24 Federal Street. Change of use from the daycare to medical cannabis facility, adult use cannabis store, adult use cannabis products, manufacturing facility, adult use cannabis cultivation, tier 2. Gonna go to the board for this. Do a little round table here. Let's start with some public comment. Does anybody want to express public comment on item A? And I am going to review correspondence as well, but that's later on our agenda.
What's item A?
Item A is the one I just read, which is Christopher Godomsky, map U04, lot 005. 24 Federal Street. Mr. Mounts.
Well, I would start with saying it's crazy to even consider a grow in the middle of the village.
Okay.
The smell, the odor, right there in the heart of our tiny little precious village is crazy. He built a fantastic facility right around the corner, a couple hundred yards from here, out in the middle of the woods, where these type of facilities should go. Not smack dab in the middle of our little precious village. It's the noise, the additional parking that they don't have, the access they don't have. I mean, at all levels, this is just, it's crazy to even consider his application. Doesn't have the parking. His application is totally full of falsehoods, errors, and omissions. I'm ashamed of this board to have even looked at his application and said in real brief terms, oh, it's not here.
I don't think there was any brevity to that, but
So, no scrutiny about the septic system, about the property itself, parking, anything. So this is where we start. So I am in no objection to this application and anything he wants to do there.
duly noted.
It's,
Thank you. Anyone else have a
it's the
public
noise,
comment?
it's the odor.
You got it. We got it.
Somebody else?
Anyone else regarding this particular matter?
Got a couple.
Go ahead, sir.
I am not a resident of Parsonsfield. I own the island,
Okay.
in Elm Street. I rent that in the summertime because I can't rent it in the wintertime because it's a 3-season camp. I have people calling, oh, by the way, my name is Jim Hanscom, but anyway.
Thank you.
Get back to this. Anyway, I have people that rent our camp and they complain about mosquitoes. Now I'm gonna have them complain about a medical marijuana, I mean, a retail marijuana place that's growing. I really don't have a problem. I mean, years ago, I'd have told you I had a problem with regular marijuana, but the state has said that it's perfectly legal now, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with retail selling of marijuana at that location, but I do have a problem with them growing it there. Is there scrubbers? I mean, when you have places in the Midwest that use coal to power their.
Charcoal filters.
They have these scrubbers and stuff that they put in to get rid of the smell. I don't need any more. I mean, I've had, the past couple of years, we've had a pretty hard time renting our property because of COVID and after or whatever, but to put one more burden on me, it is a business for me. And if I lose money because people don't want to be there because they're smelling marijuana, that's a big concern of mine. And I know, again, I'm not a resident here, but I do own property.
Thank you.
And that's all I have to say.
Yep. I think that's very notable, both of your comments. Yeah.
Hi, I'm not from Parsons Field either. I'm Jean Stanley. I'm representing the Keystone Falls Library.
Okay.
We are right there.
Agreed.
I don't know, I mean, I have not looked at regs, so I don't know what the concerns or anything that takes, if you take under consideration that you've got a building right there that has children coming and going, adults coming and going, you know, we already struggle with parking ourselves, so we've got many burdens. Well, you know, it's hard for us to get people to come because there's no parking. It's hard for us to get people to come because you've got Village Variety and lots of traffic coming and going there. Now you've got another burden. It's like, okay, you've got this happening. Is that going to deter people from coming to our business? It really is a business for us. We want to be successful. So it's a huge concern, as well as what kids going to see, what are kids going to smell? Should they be exposed to that?
Okay.
That's a concern for me.
Thank you very much. Ma'am,
I'm sure everybody's aware that there's a growing place.
can you start with
I'm
the
sorry.
name and where you're from?
Parsons Field.
Right, what's your name?
Denise Crooker.
Okay.
There's a growing place in Limerick, which is in the old airport hangar. I guess Linda Corbin owns it. I don't care who owns it. Then there was the Limerick supermarket and a hairdresser and the quilt shop.
Mhm.
The quilt shop lady has left because her customers just couldn't stand it anymore when they opened their doors. My hairdresser, happens to be my hairdresser, is moving to her own shop in Leamington because they can't stand it. They can't have their doors open in the summertime. They can't anything. We go into even the Limerick supermarket and I've been bitching to the owner, none of my business. I don't live in Limerick. I have no say. But I said, you got to do something. I mean, growing right in the, Limerick had approved it. That's got nothing to do with Parsons Field, but I'm telling you, these women now are moving their business out. I don't know what's gonna happen around here or up in Keystone Falls. It's gonna be a nightmare. That's all I gotta say about that.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Diane Wentworth. I am a Parsonsville resident. I am close to Trevor's facility.
Is this about Trevor's facility or?
No,
Okay.
but I have, no, because I actually directed questions and he gave me very informed answers and he's given me permission actually to turn it over to you folks because I learned from it.
Yep, I saw you at the sidewalk.
I think you learned from it.
Correct.
Okay.
I just want to make sure we
Right.
keep
No,
it to
right.
this particular.
No, but since, kind of an intro to this whole thing, I'm talking about odor.
Okay.
Odor in my community, okay? So I'm old now, I'm more than 3/4 of a century, I've lived a long time. I want everyone to understand that's here, clearly understand that we are pro-small business supporters. I'm from the family of Welch's Discount Store, Welch's Furniture Annex, and the Playhouse Theater in Keystone Falls, all operated for decades. So I get small business and small business concerns. The movie hall was where you took your sweetie every weekend, and Welch's was where you shopped. And furthermore, my husband, who worked there for most of his adult life, he can't be here this evening, he does have health concerns, who worked there most of his life, and I have been repeatedly told by locals, our family would not have had a Christmas if it wasn't for Welch's. So a part of being a responsible business person is being friendly to the community that you're in, having a reciprocal relationship, and that's what you want to strive for. If you want to be successful, that's what you better have. And when I'm thinking of all of this, being 3 houses down from Trevor's, is odor, okay? The bottom line is odor. That's what the people are concerned about. And so I have to read what I've written because my mind doesn't function as well as it used to function. So please bear with me if you will. You've heard a little bit about my family background, my childhood here, but we are deeply of the Parsonsfield Keyserville village. I was born a mile away across the river. Okay, so I've lived there all my life. My husband grew up in Cornish, so we know this place and we know the people there and we know about the businesses all through the decades. And we know about the pride that's been in our community all these years. So please let me continue. As a young married couple in 1971, we bought the house that we still live in. It is not, and where we live, this village, for any of you that might not know, it is not the quiet countryside experience of rural Parsonsfield residents. Being more populated and we have a major highway passing through us means we have continual vehicle and pedestrian traffic. But we are close to our school, churches, fire department, and businesses. We and others consider this a wonderful place to live our lives and raise our children. Knowing that our community people have worked decades of their life paying off their home mortgages, and many still budgeting and struggling to do so, may help you understand part of why odor control is so important to any business that you're looking at. It is critical. Imagine working decades of your life to pay off a mortgage, and then smell means you can't go out in your backyard and after working 8 or 9 hours and relax. In addition to working jobs, these community people that I know have a notable record of high volunteerism. Some dedicating years. They served our fire department, our rescue unit, and local government positions as school volunteers, youth coaches, Sunday school teachers, and I could go on, yada, yada, yada. This is a community that has that at its core. They are also what makes our village community a wonderful place to live. In our area, we have, I'm proud to say, that Trevor, by your facility and down the road, we have many who have served our nation honorably. My husband and my son are 2 of those United States veterans, and a part of my husband's service was in Vietnam. So we've served our country, a number of people. Some of them have passed, but I'm very proud of that fact, of the number of veterans that have been around. And in this community, there have been and currently are a number of public servants. As one of those, I spent nearly 40 years of my life teaching 9, 10, and 11-year-old children of Porter, Parsonsfield, South Arnhem, and Cornish. It was a privilege to teach each child, and it was a privilege to witness the impact of community folks who, when I asked them to volunteer for a project, they gave of their time, their resources, and their knowledge to improve the life experiences of our children. In 40 years, honest truth, in 40 years, I never had anyone refuse a request to come in to be a guest speaker or to work with my children. Never. That speaks a lot for understanding this community of which we're talking about. That also makes my community a wonderful place to live in. I speak about the people because we are not just some statistics on a business or a government spreadsheet that indicates our map and lot number and how many feet or acres away we are from a cannabis facility. Knowing this, I hope that you folks and town officials will again realize the importance of odor control. It cannot be overstated. I think I'll stop there because I do want to direct some things that would relate to this business too, but it is business decisions that business folks make every day and the actions that you take on a daily basis that controls the very air the young and old must breathe. And I'll stop there.
Thank you very much. That was very well thought out.
I have further comment.
Okay.
The site itself. Years past, it's been an ongoing contention with the planning board and the select board and the community about fairness. And when you have an apartment in the same building as what they're proposing to turn into a grow, it's a problem. I mean, the septic system is so vague as to how you guys came up with your decision to allow that application to be approved. The septic system there is 17 years old. It's past its usable age, for one. Two, the bakery feeds into that substantially. The apartment feeds into that same system. Now you're gonna put a grow and a facility, complete facility there without knowing what capacity is needed. Saco River Corridor, on their application, listed when they got that system installed, is an office. And on Chris's application, they call that space, that apartment within the building, they're calling it an office. It's not an office, it's a residence. It's never gone through site plan review. Site plan has never considered that space of that building within it as far as its impact on the sewer system at all. It feeds off the same water. There's just problems with that apartment being there and not being considered as a part of the application. It's just, let's make that whole building legitimate. We need to get the calculations divided out as to what the use of the bakery is, what that apartment is, and what is proposed. The applicant felt that he didn't have to show up to his own site plan review, which he should have been there to answer questions about his layout, the equipment, his water usage, a lot of questions. But he doesn't even show up to his own site plan review. I think that was rude. It made all of us look like chumps waiting around for him to show up. There's the parking. We went through this with the Stanley Building just a year ago. And we couldn't allow, this board wouldn't allow us to use the parking at the public parking lot or the public state right-of-way parking spaces. In our calculation, we had to come up with additional parking to satisfy the needs of that entire building. Whereas their parking, they have it right there in their application, that they're claiming all these state parking spots that aren't theirs exclusively. And then the parking that they do have is dedicated to the bakery, which essentially leaves their facility there with nothing. Not to count the residents that are there. There's two people there at that residence. So if they have two cars, that eats up even more of their parking.
Thank you.
I came here looking for information more than anything. And in terms of my background, I'm a former consultant to small businesses. And I'm also a Parsonsfield resident. My name is John Lesko. After hearing this, in particular, these comments in opposed, I would have to agree with them. It seems to be profoundly inappropriate use to have a grow facility there. And I'm one who has a history in this town of strongly advocating for the prudent business development of that whole corridor, that whole Keezer Falls corridor. At one time, I came up with a plan for businesses to unite with Porter and develop that area. But this proposal does not make any sense to me at all.
Thank you.
Quite frankly, I have to say, now I'm sitting here going, oh my God, I live across the river. I live like 2 streets over. My backyard backs up to River Street. It's like, I'm gonna be impacted as a Porter person, aren't I? It's like, holy moly, I didn't even think about that. I'm thinking about the library and like really worrying about that and worrying about the impact. It's like, oh my gosh, I have lived in town all my life so far. And I can't imagine living someplace else, but would that be something I'd have to consider? It would break my heart.
Well, also, if I may, in the ordinance, it states that you have to have your butters within 500 feet. In their application, it only includes Parsons Field residents, as if that odor doesn't drift across.
I actually did get notification, and I thought it was probably for the library, but it might have been for me. I only got one. I didn't get the update for when the meeting was changed to, but I did get a notification.
Their notification was willfully,
Okay, I'm representing landlord. Okay, I answer you correctly. First of all, okay, you can go ahead first.
I just want to know how the format's going, Saban, because typically during a public hearing, do we call on specific residents and then there's a time for the applicants to respond?
I'm trying to get everyone's, I understand this seems lopsided, which is something I would direct everybody before you make your formal decisions or whatever. You have to hear both sides of everything. So yes, I'm going around the room, literally.
Okay.
So I do intend on hearing from the applicants as well.
Okay, so are you gonna just go through all that first and then the applicants respond, or you just wanna wait?
Waiting for her to answer right now.
Okay.
All right, I can, hopefully.
Okay.
I write some notes.
And if Chris-
If you miss
if Shannon
anything, let
wants
me
to
know.
speak,
Like I
he's
said,
more than
first of
welcome
all, the town of Parsonsville passed this ordinance. That means town of Parsonsville's welcoming. I mean, it's voted by the town of Parsonsville resident.
For the state.
And for the state, it means welcoming. I understand this is very new to some people, very skeptical, very, you might have some knowledge, maybe no knowledge, but it's welcoming by the town of Parsonsville. I mean, we'll create a business. Odors, okay. Some people maybe have like a Travis building, right? I mean, I drive by there all the time. Used to be car dealership. You can smell the gasoline, you can smell other odors. It will look more messy. Ever since he owns it, the building looks nice and clean, very private, very quiet. It doesn't bother anybody. If you talk about smells, we used to have a restaurant in the restaurant. We have smells, you have a trash, you got automobile smells, you got all kinds of smells. And there's no, you maybe got a little bit, I don't say no odor from the growing, but like I say, this is a particular building and also building designed differently. We're not a wooden building. It's a steel frame, one of the kind. It's very solid building, okay? And also, usually marijuana owners, they have the technology, they have the knowledge, what kind of filter, what kind of the heat pump to use, and that's why you don't get odors. I mean, it's very, very minimal. I mean, this is come to people who have, like him, have a right to speech, who understand the new. So I'm answer that. Parking. And luckily, we do have parking. Okay, we have 5 right in front of the direct building. We have more in the bakery. And the reason we bought the 2 lots together because for parking reason. Otherwise, we would be side by side 2 lots. We have been grandfathered ourselves for 25 years. We paved it to share for employees for other use parking for 5 for customers. If it needed it, they can park the other side too. So if you look at downtown, other than the village station, and almost nobody have parking except us. So what do you mean by no parking? Scott, I have a question for you. You say, matter of fact, outside you say supporting us. You sub the system. We had the biggest sub system. We go through the Saco Valley, because we're waterfront. We go through the town, Gorham St. Gravel. We have a 3 business use. Back then, was a China Garden, everybody knows. For a restaurant and a bakery, an office, you're right. Now it's a studio apartment. Like I say, and that's an answer you septic system. I have the full design, town has it, and we have the chambers, we have the paved. We have one of a kind of the big system in the whole town probably, because we did it updated.
And another thing that I don't understand is the septic system only good for 17 years, I heard.
15.
Only good for 15 years.
15 is average
say
for
that.
residents, for residential.
This is not residential.
You had a Chinese food restaurant, a grease trap, you have 6 lids right there. It's really convoluted.
It's in my system, only good for 15 years. How do you know it's bad?
You wanna call, you have an
No, it just
engineer,
has-
you
no,
get an
fuck
engineer
with
say
it.
something like that? You have something to prove?
I'm not saying.
Back on what you said?
You'd have to have it checked out by Saco River Corridor and have them do the
If
analysis.
that means you're leaving, you back at the mill, you can't even live in it tomorrow.
Okay, so we're gonna stop the volleying. Thank you.
And another thing I like to say is,
Please.
about the smell, my neighbor had a wood stove. They burning wood. Every morning I get up, the wood's burning, the smoke, it's kind of pretty bad,
People have asthma, can't breathe.
Can't breathe, can we just complain about that too, so people can burn in wood? That's something to think about.
JP.
So to talk specifically about the odor concerns, one of the things that was passed in the ordinance earlier this year, earlier in 2024, was an ordinance or what was something specifically about odor. And it gave the CEO some authority to mitigate odor concerns. Is that not correct?
That's correct.
Correct. Is he still in here? Yeah.
Yeah, he does have the.
Yeah. Okay. So now going forward for these businesses, and that wasn't the case before. It was not the case before this ordinance existed. Any business in town, to include Trevor's, could not have been investigated, or nothing could have been done by the town for any odor complaints, just so everybody's clear. Going forward, if this is passed, if these guys are approved, both by the planning board and the select board, the CEO would have authority to enact some fines or penalties through the select board and CEO against odor control. So there's some teeth behind that ordinance that was passed by the town. And I think that's why we as a town partially passed this ordinance, so we could actually do something about this. And I understand the concerns of something new happening and a grow being across the street from you, Gene, too. But I do want to point out that people have been growing weed around you for a lot longer than just now.
But just there,
No.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Traverse isn't so much of a thing, the library's not right there.
I know.
It's got parking, it's
I know.
got whatever.
But
And I know-
Trevor's
one thing that I do want you, well, I won't. So when I don't know if you got to go on Trevor's sidewalk, but anybody that had the opportunity to do that would have been able to see what a very good grow operation looks like. And just so we're clear, I've helped Trevor and I helped Chris, who are two completely separate applications. I helped them build their applications for the planning board because I had experience on the planning board before and I offered to do that with them. But you would have been able to see what a grow operation looks like inside of a building and how non-intrusive it is outside of that building, other than the odor, which he is pledged to, and I'm sure we'll get to in his application, do some mitigation too, and I'm sure you guys have discussed that. Now, odor is the most intrusive thing outside of that. Now, outside of that, outside of the building, there's water to consider. And there are some things like if you do use town water, some septic system stuff that you might have to worry about. But it's just if you're using chemicals in your formulas or
The
whatever.
water go on the plant, it doesn't go on the septic.
Right.
So water the plants.
There's still washout, there's still flushing.
But
The subject enough for a restaurant.
But
Those guys, keep it one person at please.
I want to say that, you know, like, if you're worried about runoff from a septic system, I get that.
Should fix your own first.
Yeah.
Now, to be defense, 2 months ago, you had an application.
We're not gonna sit here and slam each other.
Sorry.
Let's stop.
So I just want to say that that some of this application in particular, Chris's previous grow and his current grow is one of the most technologically advanced grows and self-contained grows that I have ever had the pleasure of seeing in my life. And not that I'm an expert by any means, however, the thought and care and I guess just tedious process that he has gone through in building all of his systems, make sure that everything is efficient and self-contained and as, I guess, the footprint that he lives or that he leaves outside of his building is the least amount as possible. But I can let him speak to that as well. All right, and that's all I have on that.
Chris, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I can elaborate off the growing. So the growing would actually take place below ground. There is a basement in the structure. As far as water, we use systems that recycle all the water, so there is very little waste water. Everything is reused as much as possible because that results in a bottom line, and that's how we are able to do business. And if your worry is smell, obviously that needs to be mitigated through the use of charcoal systems, carbon systems. It's a very simple equation. It's a cubic foot is how you say carbon filtration. So it's very easy math. It is a very small grow too. It's not like the entire building will be a grow. There will be a grow inside the building, but that is simply to achieve vertical integration so it can be its own little ecosystem. We're not in the business of leaving pot out for kids because obviously that's not a good business model and that's not how you make money. Kids don't have money to spend on pot. We're not in the business of selling weed to kids. So if that is your worry, Gene, you don't have to worry about that.
No, no one brought that up.
As far as the smell, I agree. I don't think anything should be intrusive for anybody. If you guys were throwing books at us, we wouldn't like that either. If anyone was doing something intrusive, neighbors don't appreciate that. So obviously it would have to be respect. And I think it's the best thing that could possibly happen to Parsonsville. I've lived here since 2019 and I'll be here for the rest of my life. So this is not some place that we're looking to spoil.
You might be buying some houses then.
I'd love to.
Okay.
One thing to add to that as well is he's seeking conditional approval from the planning board for the cultivation operation, pending approval from the Saco River corridor for the cultivation.
Yeah, that is just one facet of my
which would mean that he has to go through a approval process through the Saco River corridor for that portion and make sure that they are completely okay with his operation for that as well. So we're not seeking blind, just a thank you, Parsonsfield Planning Board, are you guys okay with this? It has to be vetted through their environmental engineers as well, okay?
And as far as the smell, this was voted on by the town, so we have an ordinance in place. So I feel a lot of the arguments are against the industry as a whole rather than this facility. A lot of people said they didn't want facilities out in these more rural areas. They should be in the villages. Now I find a facility in a village and it can't be in our cute little village. It's just, where do you put them then?
And it's a little bit, hypocritical for somebody to say they're concerned about the smell from a pot place when they were trying to put a pot place in next door to the building that they're against. I don't know. That's just
No,
me.
that is apples.
Okay, so we're gonna stop
Anyways,
there, because we
yeah.
don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
Please. Ma'am.
Yeah, I just tried to address the same thing. A couple of months ago, obviously, it was competition. It's just because your application was incomplete, your sub that doesn't fit.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there, because we are all aware of the situation on the corridor. And I want to keep this conducive to getting this accomplished. Mr. Moss, 1 minute, because you've had a couple of turns.
A question for you guys. Now, you said the internal grow would be minimal. That sounds pretty reasonable. What about should you decide to scale it up?
The building is only so big, so I believe the basement is 2,000 square feet.
Not even.
It's not even 2,000 square feet. That is a very small canopy, and obviously you can't put plants all the way from wall to wall. That's
The
just
two
not.
songs with a hallway in the
All
bathroom.
right, now I've got a question for the planning board, if I may.
Please.
Should ownership change? And should somebody want to scale it up or to be negligent in odor mitigation? What kind of authority does our town have? I mean, we've got a code enforcement officer that's now doing the job of 6 people. I mean, it seems ludicrous to ask him to be the enforcer as well.
That's noted. I believe, just to address that, unless I'm incorrect again, we're all kind of wading into some new waters, that if Mr. Godomsky or Trevor were to sell their building, they still have to come, the next applicant is still gonna have to come back before the town. It's just not a transferable, it's this 2-step process, their license just doesn't roll over. So you couldn't buy it from him and decide you're gonna turn the whole building into something without coming before the board again.
And now finally, this Saco River Corridor Commission. The biggest problem we've had with development in Keyser Falls is sewage disposal, because there's no good room for septic. The water in, water out system is prohibitively expensive. And that's a class 1 river and should be kept that way. And these were always our concern going back 20 years now working on this stuff. Because the Keyser Falls area is the dominant commercial space in our town.
Okay.
So that's one thing, I'm saying this now as an informative thing. At the big hearing where we voted and so on, my biggest concern is that the town, the voters of the town, would never let us specifically clarify the difference between village and village residential. That's number one. And every time we wanted to do something about zoning that would maintain the look and feel of the town, the voters wouldn't allow us to do it. The whole idea is everybody says we want to maintain the look and feel of the town. Everybody espouses that they're pro-business, but we haven't been able to get it done. Now, my concern is the priority for the town is to have very clear, specific definitions about what can be done in the smaller villages. You know, we've got 3-phase power going down the Keyser Falls corridor. We have an opportunity there. But the opportunity is limited by sewage. These are all tied in. And something can be done, but somehow the town that votes on this, we've got to find a way to include them. And it doesn't matter whether we have a special town meeting or this is article number 47 buried in 60 articles at the annual town meeting. That is small democracy. People that have an issue will stack the meeting and they'll wait for the certain article to come up and everybody will come in and vote and then everybody will leave and forget about the other articles. That's happened for as long as I've lived here.
Our voter turnout is never what I think we would all like to see. It was a conversation I just had with someone else, not regarding this particular matter, but in general, for that population versus percentage of people that vote. Mr. Mops.
Now, in this grow, you'd grow downstairs in the basement, but you're gonna have to flush out your systems, you're gonna have to wash your floors, you're gonna have to, there is water involved.
Oh, for sure.
So how do you get the water, wastewater from downstairs up to your septic?
Yeah, a lifter, easily.
So there isn't one there now.
And what water are you talking about specifically?
Well, just to wash the floors, and you're gonna have spillage of chemicals and whatnot on the floor.
Yeah, I guess this is a good opportunity to elaborate a little bit that, you know, downtown is not quaint, right? You know, the mill, the Stanley building, this building, they're not the most beautiful buildings, if you will. And this type of business, obviously there's going to be massive upgrades. The building is going to be, you know, the whole facade is going to change, and the internal workings of the business will be completely different.
So you'll have to put step pumps,
Yes.
you know, septic pumps up to the septic system.
Yeah, and
How are you gonna get all this equipment and all that build up done? Because we will not allow any traffic across mill property to backside.
yeah, I don't think that's an issue, and I don't know
Down the
the
stairs?
specifics about that case.
Downstairs? You can't overburden the little bit of easement that you do have in your property. You will overburden it, and then there will be a lawsuit. We will not allow, we'll put a gate up.
Okay, so a reminder, I understand I've read that in your correspondence, which we'll address again later.
I'm done.
Just 1 second.
And I don't think.
Whoa, everybody take a breath. The purpose for us being here is we have to abide by the ordinances that were enacted. So if the building suits it, then there are other steps. They're also going to have to go through the select people, and they also are going to be subject to enforcement from the code enforcement officer, as well as making sure their business is up to code to operate. Chat, because I haven't heard from you.
There's also the cannabis policy that they have to get.
Through the state of Maine.
Yes, they
Yep.
have to get from.
This is not a one and done.
And the Silico River.
I am going to continue to say, because we could probably sit here for 4 hours and keep going back and forth, that the board is bound to allow the businesses that the ordinances say they can go where they can go. And that's the decision we have to make. I am hearing all of you. I understand your concerns. I understand your concerns as a business. I may not agree with some statements. I don't understand where your septic statement came from, because I run a business where I have a septic system that is 22 years old, and it was engineer certified 2 days ago, that is more than suitable to last us at least another 15 years. So.
I need to respond to that.
Okay, you can respond to it, but let me finish. So we're not just going to bounce and insult each other. That's not what I want out of this. We're almost reaching the point on this point where I think we're going to close public comment, because we've hit almost every topic we can hit. And it's very personal. And some of your items are beyond the scope of what I can do at this board, Mr. Mons. I understand them. I understand your purview as a business owner next door, and I understand there's probably some competition issues between the two of you.
I was just going to respond to his question. Yeah.
I just don't want this to get down into a mudslinging fight, because again, we are still one town and we're one neighbors, and you two, I don't know what your problem is.
I don't have a
Because,
problem.
no, I'm going to say this, and I don't care if you like it or not. You sat before me a year ago and didn't like what I had to say before when you two were sitting together. So let's just keep it courteous. Okay? So anyone who hasn't spoken at least once, do they want to say something? And if you haven't spoken 5 times, go ahead. Yep. Again, I just don't want you out here till midnight.
My wife and I, we used to live in Wyndham. I was on the Wyndham Planning Board for 10 years.
Yep.
Obviously, Wyndham's a lot bigger than Parsonsfield. And what we found in the standards that are on your ordinances are minimum standards. They're not what you can do. They are minimum. And what we ran into in Wyndham, I mean, it isn't the same thing. We had a problem with somebody that didn't do the right stormwater runoff plan that they had showed. We tried 6 times to get this person to come in, just because he wouldn't even answer the ordinance, the paperwork to him.
Enforcement is not
6
followed.
times to have him come in, and finally took him to court and tried to get him, and then he wouldn't even show up at court to get him to fix the stormwater runoff. And,
No, I didn't say.
Six times. Now, Wyndham's got a lot more money to blow on something like this than Parsonsfield. My advice, what I'd like to have, if we have enough people in Parsonsfield that would like to have scrubbers put in or air things or whatever, and you get it in before he moves in, then it's done. But to have, say that he has to do something and later on, a year from now, or 6 months from now, if he doesn't do it, you really have no recourse to do anything to him, except take him to court. If the court doesn't want to do anything, Superior Court doesn't want to do anything, or because they don't want to put somebody, and, this is extreme. Put him in jail, put a bench warrant on somebody, they don't want to do that to anybody, because it's a business. So I just ask if things like this, like everybody's concerned, the septic system, I don't know on this property what, I'm not a soil scientist, but you can put restrictions on a property more than what's in the ordinance. Because that's what you're here for.
Yep, we've done that in the past.
If you don't have the expertise, then you call in your your outside engineering firms that can do stuff like this. We had in Wyndham, when I left the planning board, I think we had 4 civil engineers that were engineers for the town. When I went in, we only had 1. And so it just, a town that size can't even get somebody to do something after the fact. So I just asked that it be done before.
Yep.
That's all. Things need to be done before he actually gets an application to move in and do his thing. Anyway, that's it.
Mr. Mounts.
Follow up to your comment about the septic system.
Okay.
Yeah, inspection, that's key.
Agreed.
So, there, on that property, there's a 1,000-gallon grease tank.
Mhm.
Well, Richard doesn't see the need for it anymore, I guess. Whereas the bakery still produces some grease, not like the Chinese food restaurant. The lid was sticking up, so they took it off. So they covered it in. Was that ever turned into the underground tank?
Say that again?
State?
Say that again?
There's a process when you seal off a tank.
What tank? We didn't seal off no tank.
Your grease tank.
I get pumped every year. We didn't seal off nothing.
Well, there used to be a manhole there, and now it's missing. Now
It's still there. Actually, well,
That's fine. But anyway, it comes down to inspection. A lot of questions there. And it's, the main thing is that apartment. That apartment there has never been addressed. It would behoove the property owners to address that and to bring it up to being legitimate. Then it opens up the door for somebody down the street saying, well, they put an apartment in and they got away with it. We're not gonna go through site plan review. And we're gonna just put an apartment in just like they did and have them come after us then. And the town has to, it's about fairness.
When was the apartment put in?
apartment always there.
It's 10 some years.
They own the building.
So I will look into that because I'm curious, but it's long before I was
It was,
here.
when it was a Chinese food restaurant just a few years ago, it was an office.
The 22 Federal Road.
So that's.
That's
right,
right,
Federal Road.
22, 24.
That's fine.
Matter of fact, I had the tenants blessing here.
It was, on the application, I have the application with me from Saco River Corridor, 2008. It is specified, that space is just an office.
I think, wouldn't that be addressed when they have to satisfy the Saco River corridor as part of their conditional
Yes,
approval?
it'd have to be redressed. And I'm just saying, to get the calculations proper
Yeah.
for that septic system, they'd have to calculate the bakery use, the apartment use, and then whatever calculations that Chris comes up with for his operations, they all have to be calculated, and then based on that information, the data, then they can go forward with Saco River and look
Correct.
at it and make a decision whether it's viable or not.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay.
One more thing.
Yep.
We had that building for roughly around 25 years. And the behind the building is two garage doors go in the basement.
Okay.
We always had access to back there, right? And just a few months ago, Scott told me we can't go back there no
He
more.
put a sign out
I
there.
didn't say that. I did not say that.
You say you own the, I say you own the street now?
You
Yeah.
put a sign out there, everybody will prosecute it across there.
So you tell me we
You
can
have a
use
sign right there.
we
I
can
just
use
drive by
it,
to
we
the
can use our
picture.
garage.
What's that?
You have a sign on the corner.
What's
See,
that?
No trespassing?
trespassing, somebody trespassed will be prosecuted, something. You have a sign right there.
Oh, there's signs all over, got you coming from the.
No, you just put on there 2 months
So
ago.
I had the building way before you did, Scott, right? And we always can go in the
3.5
garage.
years when we remodeled.
Getting out of hand.
We're spiraling again. And I'm gonna take this as my last public comment for this.
Okay, this gentleman here made a point.
Okay.
This is a litigious society. And the problem is when real small towns, and of course you can't compare it to Wyndham. Wyndham essentially is a city versus Parsonsfield is a very spread out town. It's huge. Yet there aren't very many people here. And I said it before about the apathy. But as far as I'm concerned, after listening to everything here, you can tell that we put the cart before the horse. We don't have a comprehensive plan. The last one was written
That's not true.
on that map
There's a
in
comprehensive,
1990.
the comprehensive plan that was just approved or just finished behind you. Yeah,
You did?
you did.
Right here.
It was very publicly discussed several times, so we're gonna.
All right, just approved? Or was it approved before the ordinance?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this ordinance is, it just doesn't cut the mustard. And if they can put a grow center in the center of town, in a cellar, where there used to be a Chinese restaurant, this is ridiculous.
Also
And
remember,
I will tell you, you have no mechanism when the stink starts coming out, because believe me, you can go anywhere in this area where they're growing pot, and that's all you smell is the pot. And it will fill this area.
so we're in hopes that now this ordinance was enacted, which I didn't enact personally, that we can control issues that are already existing, like you pointed out. So I'm going to.
With a very weak.
Okay, I'm going to close public comments at this point, because everyone has spoken at least once, if not a couple times, for item A. Take your breath and let's move on to item B. Mr. Sanborn. Where's my agenda? I'm sorry, I moved things around while I was making detailed notes. So this is a site plan review for Rejuvenate CC LLC, which is Trevor Sanborn. It's the applicant map U02 lot 004, 140 Federal Road. It's a change of use from a medical cannabis facility to adult use cannabis store, an adult use cannabis cultivation facility tier 2, an adult use cannabis products manufacturing facility. I'm going to open for public comment. This time I'm going to start over here.
I think that Trevor is a top tier operator and he is also a local person like myself. And I think that we should be allowed to make a living in the town that we call home. And I think he will do a great job and I think it should be approved.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand this is very new. Also, it's a very unique business to some people. But town of Parsonsfield needs some business. We can't compare. I own a business corner shoot. Matter of fact, I have the only marijuana shop, but we have a goes through like this, and people are skeptical. But so far, 4.5 years, we have no complaint for smell, no crime, nothing. So obviously, that proves to you life is pretty good. So, like I say, because it's unique, it might draw some business. When people come to the area, they go corners for restaurant, they will come here for such type of business. And people, you will benefit out of business. They will stop bakery, they will stop pump gas, they will maybe stop bowling because you look a little downtown, it's pretty quiet here. So, and that reason, I think the town of Parsonsfield was a part of it. Everything have reasons. So you guys actually did a good job. Or if we have people that are right now to them is very new, I guess I can understand. But I'm not like I say, better than a bar or some other things, and something even traditional.
Now I run one of
Like I
those.
say, you know, we have a restaurant, obviously, we can have a bar, we can have other things.
Right.
And you'll be something else. So I can understand the opinions, but doesn't mean the opinions is relevant, so.
Thank you. Anyone else over here? And Trevor, I don't know if you want to wait for everybody's comments, so you know what you want to answer. JP?
As a private citizen, I think my name's JP. One of the coolest things for me is every time I have been over to visit Trevor across the street from the bowling alley, I have seriously appreciated that when I have walked into his facility, he has had 7 to 10 people sitting down, working around a table, either trimming or packaging or doing something, employed. And I don't know if you guys realize how important that is, but that's 7 to 10 people sitting around employed in our town. Because there is no other business I know of that has a gathering like that, of people doing business, like sitting down at one place, like in our village. Like I don't have that. I have 7 employees right now. Village has that many, but not all at once. I know that the bakery doesn't. I know the mill doesn't. I know DG doesn't. I know Dwight Mills doesn't. I know like no other business does. None of them do. You know, like I don't know about Providence Lake. You guys probably have a staff, but like to have that many people sitting down working at once, and I know that he pays his people enough that they can have a decent wage and they can put food on their kids' tables, and he treats them well. And I appreciate that so much because he provides people a place to work and a means to live here in this community. And that means something. So as one business owner to another and as one man to another, I'd say thank you to Trevor. And I support his business as well as Chris's business and other small businesses in this town. So anything I can do to help other businesses grow in this town, that's what I'm here for. And as long as we're doing it responsibly within our ordinances and regulations and state laws, I'm 100% for it. And I'll be the first one to tell you that if somebody is going outside those ordinances, I think that they shouldn't be doing business. Or, you know, they should get within those guidelines as appropriate. But, you know, I understand that there are some things with this whole weed ordinance thing that, you know, like the smell that can be addressed. And I'm sure that these guys will do everything in their power to do right by their neighbors and their community, just like I as a business owner do with their so that's all I have to say.
Diane?
Well, I'm not sure that this meeting might be the best place to talk about the communication I've had with Trevor because I gave Trevor a list of questions, all had to do with filtration because I don't know much about marijuana growing, okay? The only issue that so many people I know care about is odor. Odor. That's the only thing they talk about, okay? I can say I do appreciate that you are employing people. And believe me, I grew up young and eating beans all the time and bologna and stuff for a long time, okay? So I understand what employment means and I taught so many families that had a hard time making it. I get it, okay? At the same time, there is a quality of living issue for the people that surround. What I have appreciated about my communication with Trevor, I went over to the site review. I went into the plant, quite frankly, not being around marijuana. When I came out of the plant and went home, I really had to totally shower. I had to wash all my clothes, my pocketbook smells, my sneakers smell, okay? So that was a new experience for me.
Normal for me.
Yeah, and right. And I think it's difficult in a way for people who work in a facility like this until you finally solve this filtration problem. Because it really isn't fair to the workers in the sense that when they leave that facility, it's hard for them to stop at a store. When they walk in the store, other people, and I've heard some comments from some kids, matter of fact, because God bless the kids, they say it outright, you know? And they'll say, Mom, blankety blank, you know? Why does he stink? And someone's walking by, and you quietly, you know, because, you know, you wish you with them along, but you can't help human reaction, okay? Odor is the problem. When I spoke to Trevor, he explained to me, when we went to the site review, one thing I noticed was I thought, I don't think there's enough filters here for the amount of product that is being produced. So that was like an immediate question I had. And so he actually, through a list of questions, he gave me like one of the questions I asked that I want you guys to see the questions and the answers. But one of the things was he talked about, you know, what he has now and what he is purchasing that's better. He's talking about the number he has now and the number he's going to have. What I saw, how I've seen life at this age is there's always problems, and there's always solutions. And you want to go step by step by step to get to those solutions and make it, that's how people find contentment and live with each other. They come to a resolution of some sort. I see that Trevor has a plan of action. That's the key to me. Now, I want you to see his questions and have the chance to look them over. But that was encouraging to me. It still doesn't mean that I don't live. It still doesn't mean that I can't have people over to my house the way that I used to, because I don't know when the big smell's gonna come. It means my house is a small house. I can't go out in the backyard. I don't like to have young children around, frankly, because I don't know about the studies. I think many studies take 20 years or more before you find out. One of my daughters was diagnosed, one of my twin daughters was diagnosed at the age of 5 with leukemia, so I got into the world of childhood cancer. And so there are a lot of things about studies, and I'm not saying this causes cancer, please don't even construe that way. I'm just saying I have a lot of concerns, okay? But I see a business person here that I felt like, okay, I'm starting to trust this. I'm starting to get educated. I'm knowing more, and it's helping me to come to some sort of resolution. And I think if we just have this kind of process of ongoing, not just me, I don't mean just me, I'm just a nobody there kind of thing, but people like you that have the board, I mean, the people, the town people, the offices, they need to really have this rapport, I think, and this understanding, so that when a citizen comes to you and say, well, hey, what about this filter, you know? Give me the answer on it, that you have that knowledge base. Being educated is a lot, means a lot. It's everything when it comes to stuff like this.
Yep.
So I guess I said all I want to say tonight. And Trevor, I want to thank you for the time that you took, because I gave him like 15 questions. And so I want to really thank you for the time. It really informed me, and that's was my aim of doing that. And I think more people should be informed.
Thank you, Diane. Mr. Mounts?
I have a process question.
Okay.
So
Regarding this particular,
this whole application business.
this particular application?
Sure.
Okay. Again, just trying to keep us moving.
There's site plan review, and then there is a conditional use permit. So are you is it a separate permit?
I'll answer that if you guys don't mind.
Go for it.
So,
You know how I feel about it.
yeah, again, after our last meeting, I did make an appointment, as I said I was going to during the meeting. I went and met with the selectmen regarding the formulation of an application that I kind of dumped on them, which really falls on us, that we are going to discuss tonight to modify our site plan application so it is more comprehensive to address this issue as well. I apologize it wasn't done ahead of time. Again, this is new to all of us. And it will not restrict anyone any further than the people, or ask for any more information or less information than we've already asked these applicants for, whether it's written or verbally. It's still going to address things like odor mitigation plans and such that are not part of the normal site application specific.
Okay, because their application is for site plan review.
Correct, because there is no formal application at this point for conditional use permit for adult use marijuana in town.
So this is all just about the site plan review.
This is all about whether or not the building fits the ordinance, and then whether or not the business fits the town, falls to the selectmen, the state level marijuana board, and then Jesse for enforcement.
So is there a conditional use permit process through the planning board?
We're undergoing it simultaneously.
Not separate, well, so then.
The site plan, the conditional use, if you look at the conditional use and the site plan, they're almost identical. So we use the site plan as a guide for conditional use.
Well, if you.
And also there's portions in there where it's like you can, as a planning board, we can ask any questions we want. That's our privilege.
And please forgive me, I mean, I appreciate you guys' time and all this. And it is-
I understand you.
But I want to refer you to Article 4, Section 1 of the town zoning ordinance. So if you could all write that down, please, and review that. This is a direct request. Article 4, Section 1 of the town zoning ordinance. So that is something that you guys have really got to drill down into and understand.
Do you have the page on that? Mr. Mounts, do you have the page?
I can tell you.
What is it?
121.
21.
Number 2. The ordinances, table of permissible uses. Provides that all possible cannabis uses, including those proposed in the application, must satisfy conditional use review. That is on page 20 of the ordinance. Page 20, so those have been looked at and considered here. Article 4, Section 3 provides that the planning board may only grant a conditional use permit if the application establishes to the board's satisfaction that the proposed conditional use will not, and it goes through the list of things. Number 4, the application must be denied because the planning board has, 1, not determined that the application is complete for purposes of conditional use review. 2, not scheduled a public hearing on the conditional use criteria. That's different. And 3, the application does not address, let alone satisfy, the conditional use criteria. And these are items that are just being totally overlooked in this entire process. Not following the exact verbatim, word for word ordinance in your own book.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
we're the first one to be pretty hard. So this is a Travis case. Whatever you do, try to treat them the same because we are in the same situation. Just because the first comment made more, but a lot of comment made it for 202. Again, Chris did a great job too. And thank the lady just, she even turned. Education, it is a very important.
State of this one.
Education, it is very important. And she even turned, like I say, a lot of smell, like her earlier address. There's no scientific which one hurt people more. So I'm sure there's a lot of filters and treatment. That's what the code enforcement for. And then people who do this type of business can't afford to do something, all of stuff because license fees very high from state level to the town level. You should see it would take a lot of money. They can't afford to lose that, so they had to make sure everything is correct more than some other business. Again, I just want to try to rewind a little bit because whatever Travers, you should have treated the same. He created a job too. And early somebody say the basement, but ours not regular basement.
Okay, we got to stay to Trevor's application. I understand your concerns, and I agree. They both need to be treated fairly. It's the same ordinance that they both apply to.
Treat us the same. That's all.
Trevor, do you have anything you want to put in?
Not really. I mean, just we've talked about everything. I mean, the only thing I can say is that I've really gotten into the odor mitigation stuff, and I'm in the process of ordering stuff and filling the building with charcoal filters and carbon and getting after it.
Thank you. Mr. Muntz.
I just have a basic question. It's not a question, but a statement. I think you've done a great job where you're at, and you're continuing to do a great job.
Thanks.
And we are not in opposition of your business down there at all. Totally feel it. And but Chris's application just puzzles the crap out of me. He's got a huge grow, 200 yards from here, large facility, industrial size, and then he wants to put this tiny little grow in the middle of the village. Now that makes sense.
But that doesn't have any relevance to his application in the village.
Well, I'm just comparing it to Trevor's. Trevor's has got a standalone building. It's not in the middle of the village. It's on the outskirts. He's set aside. He doesn't have houses directly pressed up against it. Yours.
Well,
I know.
let's not say.
Should we reel this in? Actually, we should reel this in. It's kind of, yeah.
Contention with his, and he's doing his best to mitigate it.
There are many comparable things to everything here. Many. I mean, there's things that we could point out about Trevor's that also you're pointing out about Chris's that we're not pointing out about Trevor's. Trevor, you're across the street from Bloomers where they have ice cream socials. And when we did our site inspection, Santa Claus went through in a fire escape. So, I mean, I understand that the library is concerned about that. We have to be fair to both applicants. They're under the same ordinance. So I am going to close public comments if anyone that hasn't spoken already doesn't have anything. And then we'll move forward. So we will close the public hearing and move on to our next items. I apologize, I've taken a lot of notes, so I moved my paper around. So we're going to go into correspondence, and I'm going to address the correspondence unless it's already been addressed in the public comment. Correspondence regarding Silver Therapeutics. Have you all read through that?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Anyone care to make a comment? Other than my name's misspelled, which doesn't hurt my feelings, but I just tell you. I've been called way worse than that, so probably will be by the end of the day. Is anyone from Silver Therapeutics here? Okay.
They're listening.
Good. They submitted an extensive application for conditional use. That's debatable. A lot of things on there they asked for waivers on and didn't fill out. And I'm only looking at you because I know that they want to go in your building, and I'm not picking at them. That was one of the reasons why we didn't approve it.
But I guess for me on that point, we went through site plan review and it was extensive and we had, most notable.
Meaning the Stanley Building or
We
the
had
Silver?
Stanley Building.
And we approved you.
And we have an approved site plan review. So I can understand there being a few items that are overlapping. But if you take the site plan review in its totality, and we had to go through, and then you take the criteria.
I understand why you're,
If you've done,
it still needs to be filled out. And they didn't. Anyone else have anything that they want to make comment on the board regarding this particular piece? Jim, you had an email. Do you want to just pass up there? To me that you wrote.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I got to say about that, I'll address you, Scott, is that, like I said before, we had, the site plan is pretty much what we're going to do for the change of use. I mean, if you look at them, it's just like line item for line item. So what we asked of everybody else is what we asked of Silver. So I don't see why they should have felt like they had an exception. And so that's
it would be put together then.
And they can-
A lot of mirrored information that takes a lot of effort.
Yep.
And so say, and that's why they have the ability to.
Well, if they'd have brought that information, then they would have answered our question. That's not our fault that it wasn't mirrored. I mean, that almost is like on you.
Well, they did their research, we handed over everything, and they went to the town, they got the ordinances, they've done this many times.
They didn't fill out the application.
And they filled out the application, they.
So our vote was to deem it complete or incomplete. It was not complete.
That was based on an application for site plan review though, not
Okay.
criteria for a conditional use permit. Those are two different things.
And if you look, you're good for looking up the ordinances. If you look in there, you'll see that we have the right to ask about sewage and waste disposal and drainage.
Overlapping things, but-
Right, those are things we have the right to ask. And when we asked them, they didn't have it. That is in the site plan and that's what we can also, and it's also in conditional use. So they failed to give us that
You
information.
see where it's redundant, where a lot of information is, the processes are just,
I'm new on this, so it's not redundant to me, right?
yeah. Okay, we'll let them work their way through that.
They can always fill it out properly and resubmit. And then, so we're going to move to item B, which is the email from Mr. Muntz. I'm not sure if it was you or your brother that sent the email on the 21st. We have two emails. Why am I not seeing it? Thank you. Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong date. That's why. I have it right here. It's dated on here, December 9th. We probably received it on the 21st.
Basically what he just told us to write down.
Yeah. Just changing my name again. This is regarding the items you pointed out earlier.
Same stuff you were telling us about earlier, the ordinances, yeah.
Yep.
If my brother sent it, then probably a lot more there.
Yeah.
It's very detailed.
Yeah.
And I read it before. Has everybody else reviewed it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. And then, so we're going to move to the next piece of correspondence, which is Silver Therapeutics letter dated the 9th.
It's just a rehash of everything we just.
Correct. So that's duly noted. And there's another letter from the Mountses. Or on the 8th.
Basically, all say the same thing.
And we also have another piece of correspondence dated December 11th on behalf of Mr. Muntz and his brother, Arkeezer Falls Millworks from Paquin and Carroll. Did you guys all review that? The Stanley Building is considered separate from the mill complex.
Yes.
You guys, I just want to make sure where they were. Despite their proximity. Okay. All right, so anybody on the board have any questions regarding the correspondence? We are going to address minutes at the 15th meeting. And that will allow us to compile the limited conversation we had while freezing during our sidewalk. There was really no conversation. It was a very,
Yeah, we're,
no, I didn't come prepared to walk a mile and a half in the snow, so. And you wouldn't give me a piggyback, so it was a
No.
rough morning.
I kept you company.
You did. We won't talk about that. Again, we went forward with the sidewalk because we want to have all the information. And it was good to see the property in different types of seasons, and it will not be the first or last, so I can be sure of that. We do need to discuss Desiree moving up an alternate.
So you had asked me to wait and put that on to next week's agenda
Okay,
for the resignation and the recommendation to the selectmen.
yep,
So it is the first thing I have on next week's agenda.
okay.
Do you want to,
My concern is with the volatility of the weather. We've stalled people enough in the winter, I think, that we do, I would think that we should probably move Harvey up.
I would say
We have a quorum enough to vote that.
you can, I think you can only do it on these two because these are the only two on the agenda for tonight.
That's fine.
And then so next week, you'll be able to recommend somebody like permanently to fill the vacancy.
Yep.
But then you have the option to move the other one up.
For everyone that's sitting here, the reason why we're moving up an alternate is we had a resignation of a board member, and we want to make sure that we're not having continued delays, which caused us a delay in the meeting. So if someone wants to make a motion to move Harvey up.
I'll make a motion to move Harvey up
I'll second.
On these,
on these two matters.
I'll second.
all in favor? Harvey, you're voting on these.
Yeah, I'm just getting petrified over here.
Well, when I was an alternate, I used to vote anyway, but nobody paid attention
I
to me.
know, same here.
Out of habit. So review of minutes. So old business. So item A for board discussion is the site plan review for Christopher Gonomsky, applicant map U04 lot 005, 24 Federal Road. Again, this is a change of use from a daycare to a medical cannabis facility, adult use cannabis store, adult use cannabis products manufacturing facility, and adult use cannabis cultivation facility, and it is dependent on the approval of the Saco River Corridor Commission as well. Do you guys, I don't want to make it seem like we're rushing through any of these applications, but we've already been through them and we've been through some intensive conversation. Do you guys have anything to add? I'm just facilitating at this point. Does anybody need to make a motion? So we've already reviewed these as being complete. At this point, we need to either make a motion to accept or deny.
I make a motion, we accept.
Do I have a second? Roger made a motion to approve the site plan for review for the Godomsky application, but I need a second.
I'll second.
And I need a vote for all in favor. So approved. Item B, site plan review for Rejuvenate CC LLC, Trevor Sanborn. Again, map U02, lot 004, 140 Federal Road, change of use, medical cannabis facility to adult use cannabis store, adult use cannabis cultivation facility, which is tier 2, and adult use cannabis products manufacturing facility. Do you guys have any this application you want to discuss? Based on original public comment, my only thing was to ask you about further odor mitigation from your neighbors, and it seems like you're addressing that. From the way I've been doing a lot of reading, it seems like that's the biggest way to handle the problem. So we need a motion, not from that.
I make a motion to approve Trevor Sanborn's.
Second it.
All in favor? Passed unanimously. Desiree, you'll prepare their letters.
Yeah, I'll probably reach out and maybe have a little help, but.
Yep, and just a reminder to Chris that you still have to go through the Saco River Corridor Commission
For the cultivation.
for the cultivation portion.
Just to clarify, that's the approval and the conditional approvals requested, correct, for both applications?
Yep. Okay. New business is our 2025 meeting dates. So we already have a copy of those Desiree provided. Can we see that these are also posted online, Desiree?
Normally, when I get into the office, they put them on the calendar. Do you want that actually?
We have a full, this produced as well as on the calendar, but as a separate document on our site. So that way people can participate more. I'd love to see more participation and print it off. I mean, I had to check to make sure it was not 5:30 meeting too. As I was emailing you and trying to run out the door while still talking on a Zoom call. And we're open to public questions.
Do you want to approve those dates?
Okay, yeah, can I have a, please, I apologize. Can I have a motion to approve these dates?
I make a motion, we approve the dates for the 24 meeting dates, 25 meeting dates. I think. Well, it says 24 on the top.
And I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Maybe you can't vote on this one. Open to public questions that we haven't already asked. Ken?
Was Chris's application approved with conditions? Is that what I understand?
His is already based on, he still needs conditional approval. He needs approval, not conditional, I'm sorry. He needs approval from the Saco River Corridor Commission, which is addressed in his application.
There's approval for a retail store, and then there's conditional approval for the cultivation portion of it.
So his application was approved as requested.
So it was approved as requested, conditional is what?
So his application, his adult retail store was approved. His growth facility is dependent upon his approval with the Saco River Corridor Commission, as listed in the application. And other public questions?
I got one question. I live in Cornish, but I have this house, but we weren't notified. I don't understand, this up is, when I was aboard, 500 feet away from, you will be notified in writing.
You were definitely on the abutters list.
No, I don't know where it ended up.
Let me double check it. I know you were on that.
I came in and paid taxes here a little while ago, and made sure that our name, we lived in Wyndham, and we moved, I was in Pittsburgh for years.
I did the list. I know you. I'll pull it up.
Whether it's Wyndham or
Actually.
I've got two applications that are pretty long here.
The butters list.
I am. JP's gonna beat me to it because he has his binder.
Yeah, me too.
What's the address? Elm. Oh, you're on Thursday, right?
Yeah, 13 Elm.
13.
Chris knows where it is, he's been there.
You have yours right there, Roger.
Not here. I didn't see it anywhere.
Oh, wait, no.
Not there.
No, you're right outside the 500 feet.
What's that?
You're right outside the 500 feet. You have to pull it up on Google. 'Cause I did a point from the center of his building. Yep. Radius right outside of
I'm
there.
not within 500 feet, I don't know who else is.
I'll pull it up.
Yes.
So you're approving the cannabis shop up top
Correct.
with inadequate parking?
The application we felt showed adequate parking
How was that?
by the diagram we went by.
What, 2 spots for the cannabis shop, that's it?
That's not correct.
Oh, yeah, but you can't count on our application, you didn't let us count any of the state parking, I'm speaking.
We're not gonna start the back and forth.
All the state parking is not included in our application. They've provided extra parking, so now in their parking, they have 7 dedicated spots for the bakery alone. Which doesn't leave them but what, 2 spots?
Thank you.
Not even, what about the illegal apartment that's not approved?
The illegal apartment isn't the subject of the application.
It's part of the building.
Not the part of the building we're approving.
Affects the septic.
Jesse, is that an illegal apartment in that building?
Nope, that was an approved apartment back in 2017.
By Saco River Corridor?
Nope.
No. Makes it illegal.
Thank you.
Up with the code. I think it's grandfather. It's been there for a long time. When you show up.
That's the code issue. The code
You do
issue.
something you own. And
That's not how it works.
the restaurant
197 feet.
can handle it from
How about the driveway? Did you pick the driveway?
I don't think the driveway counts, but.
It's part of the problem.
handle the restaurant.
Yeah, two restaurants. I know.
Well, driveway's 400. Well, I don't know. 529. Yeah.
All right. You win this one. 525, come on. Letter of the law.
Right.
All right.
I need a vote for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Wait, I didn't hear who it was.
Motion to adjourn, a second. All in favor at 8:48.
I need a drink. Go home.